Hello, my name is James Barbour. I'm spokesperson at the EU Delegation to the US here in Washington, D.C. I'm delighted to welcome you all to the inaugural edition of the Schuman Challenge. This is a new project for us. It's very exciting, and we hope that if we get it right this year, we'll be able to roll it out across the country. So you're all very special in joining us for this pilot program. This is the culmination of an idea we had probably a couple of years ago, and it's taken us a long time to implement. But the fact that we're doing it this year is really quite special. Those of you that have studied European history will know that we have several important anniversaries this year. We see the 60th anniversary of the Rome Treaty, which arguably is one of the most important founding documents of the European project. It's also the 70th anniversary of the Marshall Plan. George Marshall made his famous speech on the 5th of June 70 years ago, suggesting that one of the best ways of preventing future conflict in Europe was for the US to take an active interest and an active economic interest. And this year also sees the 100th anniversary of the arrival of US troops in Europe to help us end the horrors of World War I. So those three anniversaries are tremendously significant and show us that as the European project has travelled on its at least 70-year journey, the US has been with us every step of the way, hand in hand, and helping us achieve the significant achievements that we have achieved over the last 70 years. We're hugely looking forward to the next few decades as we establish and continue to define the role of the EU as a global actor, and that's where the Schuman Challenge comes in, and that's where we want your help. It's no secret that the European Union is facing a lot of criticism, questioning, soul-searching at the moment. People tell us our economy is falling apart, that our borders are porous, that we're a haven for terrorism, that our currency is failing, that we're all losing our national identity. It's my tremendous personal belief that these criticisms could not be further from the truth, and that they neglect the tremendous achievements over 7 decades of the European project. And the problem is that this narrative is out there and we need to counter it, and that's where you come in, to help us build a coalition of supporters for future generations who believe that the value and the contribution of the European Union in solving the challenges of the world is absolutely crucial for the US and for all of our partners. So what are we asking you to do? You already know that we've asked you to take one of the 5 objectives of the EU Global Strategy and to develop, present and to defend a strategy for its implementation. The global strategy is really important to us. It's a document which frames and defines how we view the world and how the European Union gets involved in solving the challenges of the world. It's a document which is both broad in scope but also gets really quite specific in terms of how we're going to address these challenges, develop concrete measures to address them with our partners. So as you look to address your chosen challenges, I want to give you a few pointers. Firstly, most obviously, get to know the global strategy. Read it inside out, take a look at all the supporting documents on the website, because that's what frames your challenge that's ahead of you. Secondly, make sure you focus on issues that pertain primarily to the European Union. Yes, you can talk about NATO, you can talk about the OSCE, you can talk about Europe in a wider context, but this is a European Union challenge that we've set you, and that has to be where you frame your response. Thirdly, get to know the European Union institutions and how they work, how they operate, how they interrelate to each other. Our decision-making process is really important that you understand. Particularly when it comes to foreign policy, you need to know what is the role of the High Representative for Foreign Policy and Vice President of the European Commission. You need to know what is the European Council, what's the Foreign Affairs Council, what's the Political and Security Committee, what's the European Parliament. How do all these bodies relate to each other, to the European Commission? How do we take our decisions, develop our policies and implement them in addressing the challenges of the world? Fourth, be innovative and be creative. There's no such thing as a bad idea in this challenge. We want to hear your ideas and we want to hear you develop them. At the same time, put yourself in the role of a diplomat and realize that innovation and creativity need to be balanced with pragmatism and realism. So when you give us your ideas, tell us how they're going to work in the real world and how they're going to be implemented. Fifthly, don't try and do too much. We're not asking you to solve all of the problems in the world in one day. What we are asking you to do is to take one challenge, get really deep into it, and try and address it in as comprehensive a way as you can and defend your arguments. Finally, do incorporate real-world examples. There are some great case studies out there of how the European Union has already carved its role on the foreign policy stage, how we've made real change and real successes in addressing global challenges. Take a few of those, use them to back up your arguments, relate it to the real world. I said finally, but actually there's one more golden rule that you really need to espouse as you address this challenge, which is to have fun. Yes, this is a competition. Yes, we want you to challenge yourselves intellectually, but we also want you to enjoy yourselves, because that's what this is really about. We want you to work as teams, we want you to learn a lot about the European Union, and we want you to learn a lot about yourselves, how you work with each other, and hopefully you'll enjoy yourselves in the process. So roll up your intellectual sleeves, get stuck in and enjoy yourselves, and I very much look forward to meeting you as the contest continues.